Wake that ass up.
In the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Charlamagne the Guy, just hilarious. We are the Breakfast Club. We got some special guests joining us today. We have the founders of Black and Missing Foundation, Natalie and Derrica Wilson. Welcome, ladies.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How you feeling?
Wonderful. Thank you so much for having us here again.
No problem, no problem. I want to know, because I wasn't here the last time y'all came, what is BAMF?
So BAMFI,
I'm sorry, BAMFI. Lord, see, this is it's the producers. Ain't it crazy? All right.
Let me just tell you. Let me just tell you. Charlamagne does this all the time, right? So he'll tell somebody it's wrong so they can say it and then be embarrassed. He does it to me all the time. And I'm bad because I didn't say anything, but he does it. Like I'll be like, on the sheet he'll say Ricky. I'll be like, oh, that's Ricky. I'll be like, yeah, that's Ricky. And then you say Ricky and it's not Ricky.
They will come up here like, she ain't do no damn research. She gonna ask us what BAMF is? Okay, BAMFI.
Well, BAMFI. What is BAMFI?
The Black and Missing Foundation.
Thank you, girl. Thank you.
the Black and Missing Foundation, we are a nonprofit organization and we bring awareness to missing people of color across the country. I mean, we have been sounding the alarm for the past 15 years that people that look like us are disappearing and no one is really taking note of it. Yeah. You know, our cases are not getting the media coverage that they deserve because awareness is key. Law enforcement isn't adding resources to the cases, and the community just isn't engaged. We tend to turn a blind eye to the issue. So Derrica and I have started the organization to bring awareness to this issue and to help find those missing from our community. And we also want to educate our community about personal safety so that we don't go missing.
I was gonna ask, did Carlee Russell help or hurt? Because that was a case that went crazy online, crazy on the internet, crazy on the news, something that you guys would have wanted for a missing person, but then we find out that it wasn't real. So did that hurt or help the situation that you guys are fighting for?
Well, first of all, I would love to just highlight Hoover Police Department because in missing person cases of color, we don't normally get that reaction. So they did absolutely everything right. In fact, they're the reason why the case went viral in the first place by taking the report, putting it out there to the local media, national picking it up, and then our community engagement. And I think one of the reasons why that case went so viral is because everyone saw themselves as Carlee. You know, you think about a child walking down the road at the onset of this case, and it's nighttime. Anyone would want to be a good Samaritan and help that child. But, you know, after the fact, the revelations of that, we were disheartened, and just hearing some of our community members say that, you know, we don't want to help and we don't want to share these flyers because they didn't want it to be a hoax. What we are saying is that there are hundreds and thousands of missing people of color, and we cannot allow this one case to distract us.
You know, that's why I wanted y'all up here, because, you know, when you hear about that Carlee Russell situation, that's exactly what people were saying. But I'm like, yo, there's hundreds of thousands of people that go missing all the time. What blew me about that case was, out of all of the real cases, this is the one we chose to pick. Like why this one? Like, why did this one in particular that was fake be the one that blew up?
And again, I think it's because everyone saw themselves. I mean, as it could have happened to anyone. And we see that these predators, they are so savvy and sophisticated, and they're doing a lot. They're using children as bait. So the story that she fabricated is not far-fetched from what the reality is with some of the cases. And again, I think people just saw themselves as a good Samaritan and wanted to help.
Can we talk about the good sister Tamika Houston, rest in peace to her, and how her case inspired y'all to form the Black and Missing Foundation?
Absolutely. Tamika Houston's case was the inspiration behind the Black and Missing Foundation, because Tamika's aunt Rebecca, she's in media like I am, and she could not get that media coverage, national media coverage for her niece. So that inspired us, and what keeps us going are these families that are desperately searching for us. And Rebecca is on our board. And having her to have that Finding Tamika's Story or podcast is really inspirational because, again, so many people are disappearing. 40% of the missing population are people of color. And we are not getting the resources that we need. And people are missing for a number of reasons. Your platform is mental health. Sex trafficking of our girls and boys is a huge issue in our community. And we just need to continue to uplift those that are still searching for their missing loved one.
Why don't you think people care, especially our community, care as much as they should, right? We can talk about, Love and Hip Hop, Real Housewives of anything, and we make that a story. We could talk about a show that's on Zeus or even Tubi, and people will talk about it and it'll be trending. But when it comes to some real life-ish where somebody's missing, a daughter, a mother, a sister, a aunt, we don't necessarily get those same conversations. Why do you think it is?
Well, I think one of the reasons why there seems to be a disconnect is I have to go back to law enforcement, and that's my background. Law enforcement, they are the gatekeepers. And sadly, when they're putting our information out there, they are criminalizing us. If you look at flyers, some of these flyers, they look like criminals. We're talking about people, mothers and fathers, sisters and brothers. And also, they label our children as runaway. And there's this perception in society that whatever happens to that child, male or female, if they are labeled a runaway, the perception is they decided to run, and whatever happens to them, they brought it on themselves. And we really have to change that narrative. These children are endangered. We know that these predators are, they're lurking on these children. And every 1 in 3 children that go missing, they are solicited for sex.
Can we expound on that and talk about why black people go missing at such a high rate?
Well, Black people go missing at a higher rate, specifically for sex trafficking. There's a study by the Urban Institute that said they interviewed pimps and pedophiles. They said, one, they like Black girls because no one is going to look for them, which is the truth, right? And that's why this organization was created. And the penalty for sex trafficking our young girls and boys, it's not as high as their white counterparts.
Really?
So so that's what they're saying. So we, again, need to change policies and procedures to protect those that are most vulnerable. I mean, they're preying on children in low-income societies because they want what we take for granted. They want food and shelter, and they're selling them a pipe dream. And they're selling their bodies, and a child cannot consent to have sex. They're being raped over and over again. So we have to do a better job and stop calling our girls fast. Stop it. You don't know what they're experiencing. Why is she pregnant at 13 years old? Don't just assume that she's hot in the you-know-what.
Right.
We have to do a better job as a community in protecting our children. And again, we're all on social media. We're posting everything. I'm at the Breakfast Club. No, wait until you get home and post. You never know who's watching. You know, people are stalking you. It's a really crazy world.
What do you tell parents out there? How
you about to say something?
I'm sorry.
I just wanted to add, we can't forget about our boys. Our boys, we don't talk about it, but our boys are also being trafficked at a high rate as well.
I was going to ask, so what do you tell parents, or family members? How do you protect your kids,
Well, we have to get back to the basics. We have to stop being our children's friend and be their parent. We have to put down these devices. These predators, they are utilizing these chat features. I'm sure a lot of, listeners out there, their children are on Roblox. Roblox is a free platform, and those predators are also on Roblox as well, entering those chat features. And I think parents need to understand the grooming process. When you think about a child going missing, what really comes to mind is probably a white van pulling up and snatching a kid and driving off. Okay, we're not saying that can't happen, but this grooming process takes time. They're building on their trust. And it could take 6 months, it can take years, but they are doing that grooming process because they want to build that child's trust. So we're telling parents, be that nosy parent. I mean, I'm a parent, and you live in my house, I'm going to be all in your business. Because if I'm not going to take care of it, if I'm not being responsible, then someone else is going to get to my children. And I cannot allow that to happen. So we have to have these uncomfortable conversations with our children at a very early age.
Yeah, and I am a mom, and I actually, even with my son, he had told me on TikTok, you put your number in personal settings, you can put either your number or your email, and people just start texting you out of nowhere. Like, that's happened. My son, I had to shut down his TikTok because people started texting his phone. People can grab your information off of any social platform you're on. They know you're a kid. And like you said, they're innocent and they're also impressionable. So they coming off at these kids and just, acting like other children, meeting up with them. And because that's happened. Not to my kid, but to kids that I know, that has happened from social media.
Well,
And
according
any
to
device, any device where there's a chat feature, your child is vulnerable.
absolutely,
Yeah.
And we ask parents to create a fictitious account and see if you can befriend your child. You'll be surprised that they get comfortable and share all types of information with you. But that's an opportunity for you to have that conversation
Right.
Yeah.
to say, I am not your peer.
Yeah.
So you can help stem sex trafficking because it's really a multi-billion-dollar industry.
And I think if all parents realize and understand that every single day there are 500,000 predators online trying to lure children in, and that's according to the FBI. Those are clear statistics every single day. And so we have to pay attention to what they are doing. And I think because of the pandemic, it allowed children to have access to computers without the proper oversight.
Yeah.
And it allowed these predators to enter into the homes without coming through any doors or windows. And it's through those devices. So we really have to see what they are doing. And I want to add one last thing. The FBI also reports that over 80% of traffickers are white men.
Wow.
I love your hashtag, help us find us. How often does the Black and Missing Foundation help find people, like actually find people who go missing?
We help find people every day. And since our inception, we have helped to bring home or provide closure to more than 400 families.
Wow.
Oh, that's amazing.
So there are still thousands of families still searching for their missing loved ones, and we ask them to not give up hope. But we are a resource for them, and we need our community to get involved. We can't do this work alone, and don't turn a blind eye to the issue. We mentioned Carlee Russell. Share these cases of missing individuals because we just need one person to come forward to help bring a missing person home or for a family to get the answers that they deserve.
Yeah.
What's the best procedure? Like when something like this happens, when somebody goes missing in our community, like what should be the immediate reaction from us, I guess?
Immediately file a missing persons report.
But I thought they said you got to wait like a certain amount of time.
24 hours or
Yeah.
48 hours or something like
A
that?
long
Well,
time.
when it comes to children, it is federally mandated that a police department cannot refuse to take a police report for a child that's missing under the age of 18. And when it comes to adults, it depends on your jurisdiction. Some jurisdictions will take the police report immediately, and other jurisdictions will tell parents or families to wait 24 hours. Well, we all know the first 24 to 48 hours are the most critical moments.
important.
So what we are doing is we're working with elected leaders to try to get a unified policy across this country. Every case needs to be handled the same way, and we need to take the discretion away from individual police departments that decide to make families wait 24 or 48 hours.
I was going to ask, they made fun of me one time. So with my kids, I have 6. First of all, I make the oldest go on the kids' Roblox and all that and figure that out to watch them because I can't do it. Roblox is annoying to me. But what I try to do them is I try to teach my kids if something does happen, what to look for. And I do that from watching ID, like whether it's, try to count so many stops, or count this or count that. Is there any advice that you can tell parents of what their kids can do in the case that they did get kidnapped? You know what I mean? We always tell our kids if something does happen, scratch somebody. So if they do find you, we can get the skin under their nails.
Yeah.
I'm an ID person, so it is what it is. So what would you advise parents to tell these kids, if there's anything?
Well, first, I would advise parents to make sure that you have everything in the event that your loved one went missing. So often we don't have photos. We're waiting on parents to send photos. And in this day and time, everyone has a device, but we're still waiting on photos. Collect your child's DNA. Establish that, again, getting back to the basics, know who those friends are, establish that contact list so you can make those calls and make those contacts. And then with children, we have to understand where they are and meet them where they are. They're very vulnerable. So we have to make sure that we are continuing to encourage encourage them, inspire them, let them know that they can always come and talk to you or a trusted adult, whether it's an educator, doctor, whoever it is that they trust. And just look for the signs in your home. And this is for parents. If you see your child coming in with a cell phone or some clothes that just seemed out of the ordinary, ask questions, ask those tough questions, and then also just connecting with the school too.
Where you get that hat from, boy?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have to ask those questions. You didn't purchase it.
Right.
Right.
Would you advise chips for kids? And the reason I say that is this has been a conversation people have been having for years, right? They chip a dog. And if a dog comes missing, they can find exactly where that dog is.
Yeah.
With all these kids missing like that, do you think that that's something that people should start looking at, possibly chipping their kids so that if there is a problem, they can probably...
I used to be against it because I grew up, still do, like, read a lot of conspiracy theories and, like, Mark of the Beast and stuff like that. But I don't know, man. Having 4 daughters, I'd be like, ugh.
Let me just chip them in their toe or something. Chip them in their foot,
I wouldn't mind putting it in their clothes or something. Like, I don't know.
I would go as far as like something in their clothes, their devices, but
hair maybe.
Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe I'm a conspiracy theorist. Like I don't know
too,
if I'm going to the doctor and have them put a chip in my...
I don't know what else they gonna do. You know what I mean? Like they gonna be controlling what I think, or I don't know.
Exactly.
That way you can always find. Because the first thing you do is if somebody takes you, what they gonna do? They're gonna take your cell phone.
Definitely.
So your phone
can't be found.
9 times out of 10, they're gonna take you out the clothes you're in because that's the clothes that you were last seen with. So it's like. You put something in a hair piece or something, and it's like they can be followed. I don't know.
Yeah. Can I play devil's advocate?
Yes, ma'am.
What happens if the person that's shipping you are responsible for these that are going missing?
You're right.
Damn.
You're absolutely right.
Say that again.
You're absolutely right.
What happens if the person that's shipping you is also responsible for these individuals going missing?
They're going to get ahead of it. There you go.
You're absolutely right.
Because you have to look at, you look
don't.
at the bust that has been occurring over the country, of these traffickers. What do they look like? Police chiefs, doctors,
family members,
teachers. I mean,
neighbors,
yes,
people that you see.
Because oftentimes people, they're like, well, what does a trafficker look like? They look like anybody. I mean, they can work a regular 9 to 5. They can be a government official. They can have a high position with their agency or organization. I think we just have to have those uncomfortable conversations and not be so quick to turn our children loose.
Yeah.
We have a lot of cases where our children are trafficked at the hands of their loved ones and their family members. So when you're thinking about going to a family gathering and you're forcing your child to hug the uncle or the aunt over there.
Damn.
Not realizing that the aunt or the uncle could be the sexual abuser.
Damn. We all do that. Go hug your uncle.
Yeah.
No, I don't do that. I don't do that because one thing I realize about kids will tell you like, no, I don't want to. And like I respect their boundaries as children.
Yeah. Nowadays they'll tell you, no, I don't want to. Back then when I was younger, I couldn't be like, no, like Aunt Alicia. You know what I'm saying? We would have to go over there, but now kids are more boisterous now and they, so.
And it's in our culture. That's what we do, right? You're being disrespectful
Yeah.
if you don't speak or you don't
Yeah.
hug. But we have to teach them that you have to set boundaries too.
Absolutely.
One thing I learned too is in executive producing finding Tamika was that the role the media plays and the lack of coverage that, Black women get when they go missing. Is that changing, you think?
Well, we have made some inroads. We've come a long way, but we still have a lot more work to do. Now we can reach out to media partners to say, yes, I need coverage, and they'll be willing to help. But sometimes it's an uphill battle. I'll reach out to the media outlets, and I'm met with silence, right? But we have social media, and that is our digital milk carton. And everyone is pretty much on social media. If you can share these profiles of a missing individual, we don't have to wait for the 5 o'clock news cycle or any news cycle. We can get that information out instantaneously and a far reach. We just traveled from DC, and in 2.5 hours we were here on Amtrak. No one asked for any ID, any information. So think about if someone is being trafficked from DC to New York. They could be here, and if we can share that information on social media, we can help find them much quicker.
Wow.
Do you see it getting better? Because now at the airport, I see it all over the airport. You'll see signs. I've heard people say that people came up to them and was like, hey, is this your dad or is this your mom or ask somebody, is that your daughter? Is it getting better at all or is it getting worse?
We can actually see the change. It's starting to change, but we're also taking matters into our own hands as well. Our community members matter. And, you know, when you talked about the media, we created our own media. We want to tell the story ourselves.
Yeah.
Because it seems as if sometimes we're stereotyped, and we don't want people to get distracted that these are valuable members of our community, and regardless of race, sex, and zip code, they matter.
Mm-hmm.
They matter. So we're telling our stories.
Yeah.
And that's the production company y'all started with. It.
Yes.
BAMFI, that's what you called it, Jess?
It's BAMFI is what it is. I called it BAMF because that's what you said.
But she got it
BAMF
right.
Enterprises.
She got it right. So BAMFI Enterprises is a production company that we have created. Untold Stories is a podcast that we've created to give families a voice. That's what they're saying. No one is hearing us. We need a platform to tell the story of our missing loved ones. And we have been technical consultants on movies, such as Black Girl Missing with Lifetime and some other projects. So we are creating our own platform, as Derrica said, because we want to tell the stories of those that are missing. Awareness is key. If you don't know that someone is missing, you may walk by them and, you know, you couldn't help bring them home. So we have to be vigilant and, you know, create our own opportunities or our own seat at the table.
Absolutely.
Mentally and emotionally, how connected do y'all become with these missing children? You know, or just individuals, period? Like, how like, are you upset when, of course you're upset, but does it affect you mentally when they're not found? Or?
These families become our family. And, you know, it's that personal touch. We are national, but as soon as we connect with the family, every family member is in our phone by name, and their loved one is the flyer. So when they call us, we're able to identify. It's the small things that mean so much. And I think it's important to highlight that the person who goes missing is not the same person who returns home when they do return home. And so there's additional resources that's needed for those individuals, and we're here to help them. We have partnerships to continue to get the resources that they need once they have been found. And I know we highlighted earlier some of the reasons, but there was one that I wanted to highlight right now is also domestic violence. You know, that is a correlation, and that was the situation even with Tamika's case. And Tamika's case was also near and dear because she went missing from my hometown. And,
Spartanburg.
Yes, and before she went missing, we didn't see anyone. It just didn't stand out for us. But looking at Tamika looked like my sister. She looked like my nieces. And there's so many Tamikas out there. So that's why Natalie and I, we do what we do.
Does it get overwhelming for you, for y'all, neither one of y'all?
Honestly, it does.
Yeah.
But
sleeping at night or anything, just.
But we have now set boundaries. Like I have to turn my phone off at a certain time.
Yeah.
I now have to start walking. I'm Caribbean. I play my calypso and just kind of cried out.
Yeah.
Sometimes you asked about the families. Sometimes I'm on the phone crying with them, and I'm like, I'm sorry for being unprofessional. But it's just hearing that your 5-year-old is missing. You know, your 9-year-old could be a victim of sex trafficking.
Yeah.
These cases are really hard.
Yeah.
And we just have to, we can't not walk alongside these families because we're all that they have. Yeah. And we just have to suck it up, you know, cry it out, and got to get up and keep going.
I know we've had, it's been a tough few weeks, and we had 2 toddlers that were missing and found deceased, and it took a toll on me. It really took a toll. Like when we got the news, I had to take a step back.
Wow. Because
these babies are so innocent, didn't even get to live their life out. So it really do take a toll, and it's okay to step back because I can't help anyone if I'm not good to myself. So I know when I have to pause, but some cases hit you a little harder than other cases. Yeah. And those really took me to a different place.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm not, these cases are just even hard, I guess, because I got 4 daughters. They're just even hard to listen to because immediately when you see it, you start thinking, what if, I don't even want to put that, I don't even want to say it, but you know, that's what you start thinking. You know what I mean? And it's like, damn. So it's like when you see things come across your timeline, you feel like I got to get involved because I would want somebody to do that for people that I love too, you know?
Absolutely.
We
Well, we
cannot turn a blind eye to this issue at all.
Well, we appreciate you for joining us. How can people get more involved or follow you to make sure that, because sometimes it's the little thing. People always say, well, what can I do?
Yeah.
And they don't understand a repost will help, just to talk about the story or put it in their story. Just so how can people
And for
follow
people who
you
don't
guys?
trust that no more because they think, I
Yeah.
don't know if this is real or not.
Right. And we verify all of our cases before we post them.
Oh, okay.
If there isn't a missing person's report on file, we help them file one.
Gotcha.
And we work with them to get that media coverage and to upload it to our social media platforms. But to get involved, please visit BAMFI.org. That's the Black and Missing Foundation, Inc.org. That's a low-hanging fruit. Just start with who's missing from your community and share that flyer. We need financial support. We provide burial services, financial support for families that are desperately searching for their missing loved ones, flyers, anything that they need, and we can provide it, we do. So we need our community to get involved to help us. And then we also have the podcast. Take a listen to these stories. These are real people that are missing, like Ariana Fitz, Eotis Harris. We dropped a episode yesterday on sex trafficking. This young lady was sold by her mother at 13 years old. She had 3 kids by this man, and law enforcement said there was nothing we can do.
Wow.
So listen to these cases, take it seriously, and help us to find us.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much,
And
Natalie
we thank you
and
for your
Derrica.
service,
We
man.
appreciate you for
really
joining us.
value and appreciate the Black and Missing Foundation. Thank you
Absolutely.
very much for the work y'all do.
Thank you all so
you.
much.
Thank you for educating me on
Yes.
BAMFI. Thank you so much.
It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.
Wake that ass up. Early in the morning. The Breakfast Club.